So if filling out the 30-degree angle helped me so much with all of its reference angles, 30 degree, 150 degrees, 210 degrees, 330 degrees, then wouldn't knowing those values for 60 and 45 be helpful as well? Well, now I'm going to help you remember that for 60, the sine value was actually root 3 over 2, which came from this one, and the cosine value was actually 1/2. Remember those two just switched places? Well, the tangent value is actually going to switch places with the cotangent value. So you see what I'm talking about? It was nice that we had an opportunity to do this once, because now we're just going to put root 3 right there. And what do you think the cotangent value is going to be? It's going to be root 3 over 3. And then the secant and cosecant values swap places as well. This one is 2, and this one is 2 root 3 over 3. So anytime we have a reference angle of 60, these are all of the values we're going to use. We just have to be careful of which signs we are using because of the quadrant that it's in. Now the last one that's a little different, I'm just going to go ahead and help you fill that out. 45 degrees is root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and 1. Now luckily the reciprocal of 1 is just 1. That was easy. And I'm going to tell you, you can work this out yourself, but the reciprocal of root 2 over 2 is just root 2, and this is the same because they are reciprocals of the same number. So keeping that in mind, let's take a look at this next set of problems. I have cosine of 135, sine of 120, cosecant of 330, and tangent of 225. So in order to find these values, I need to ask myself a couple of questions. The first thing I want to know is, what is the reference angle? This one's reference angle is 45 degrees. That's the reference angle. So when I look for cosine of 135, I'm going to look at the 45 degree column. When I'm looking at sine 120, 120 has a 60 degree reference angle. Remember, look at your unit circle and see that 120 is in the bow tie with 60 degrees. 330 has a 30 degree reference angle, and 225 has a 45 degree reference angle. So now I just need to think about what quadrant is it in. 135 degrees will be in quadrant 2. I'm going to go ahead and draw a little picture of that. It would be in quadrant 2 right there. Yes, cosine is negative in that quadrant. And so now I'm going to look at the 45 degree angle. I'm going to look at the cosine value, and I'm going to make it negative. Whatever it is, I'm going to make it negative. So I look at the table at the 45 degree column, cosine, it's root 2 over 2. And so I know that my answer is negative root 2 over 2. Well, let's do another one. What quadrant is 120 degrees in? Well, 120 degrees is in quadrant 2. Here it is. It's kind of up here, and you can see that it actually is the taller angle. It's sine though, and sine in that quadrant is positive. So I'm going to look at the 60 degree column, I'm going to look at sine, and I'm going to make my answer positive. So I'm going to go to the 60 degree column, look at sine, that's positive root 3 over 2, so nothing changes. Let's draw this one. 330 degrees is out here in quadrant 4. I know that cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Sine is down is negative. Down for sine is negative. That's the y value down. So this answer is going to be negative. I look at the 30 degree reference cosecant. 30 degrees cosecant. I got 2, but it's negative, so my answer is negative 2. And the last one, we've got 225 degrees. We know tangent is positive in that quadrant. Its reference is 45, so I look at the 45 degree column, tangent, and my answer is 1. Some of you may be having a hard time keeping up with all of the positives and negatives and which quadrant goes in what. So I'm going to teach you a mnemonic. A mnemonic is a sentence or phrase that can help you remember some things. In quadrant 1, everything is positive. They are all positive, okay? Sine is positive, cosine is positive, tangent is positive, and of course, whatever this column is, this one matches exactly the same. In quadrant 2, the only ones that are positive are sine, which starts with S, right? All starts with A, sine starts with S. So sine is positive, but everything else is negative. So sine and its reciprocal are positive, negative, negative, because the two columns have to match. In quadrant 3, sine is negative, cosine is negative, tangent is the one that's positive. Tangent and its reciprocal are positive, everything else is negative. T for tangent. And then C, cosine is positive, everything else is negative. Cosine and its reciprocal are positive, everything else is negative. The two columns match. Now here's the mnemonic. All students take calculus. All students take calculus. All are positive, only sine and its reciprocal are positive, only tangent and its reciprocal are positive, only cosine and its reciprocal are positive. So when I look at this right here, cotangent of 30, 30 degrees is in quadrant 1, everything's positive, so that answer is positive. 315 is in quadrant 4. Cosine is positive in quadrant 4, so this answer will be positive. Sine of 240. 240 is in quadrant 3. Sine is negative, so this answer will be negative. Secant of 120. Secant of 120 is in quadrant 2. Secant is negative, so this answer will be negative. Well, now we actually have to find them. Cotangent of 30. Obviously 30, we're going to look at the column with 30 degrees, and we're going to find cotangent is root 3, so it's positive root 3. This would have a reference angle of 45. So we're going to go look at cosine of 45. That's root 2 over 2. It's positive root 2 over 2. Sine of 240. The reference angle for 240 is 60 degrees. That's a 60-degree reference angle. So we're going to go look at the 60 column. We're going to look at sine. Root 3 over 2, but this one has to be negative, so it's negative root 3 over 2. And the last one here also has a 60-degree reference angle, so we're going to look at secant in the 60-degree column. Secant 60 degree is 2, but this one will be negative 2 because it has to be negative in that quadrant. The unit circle is centered at 0, 0, or the origin, with a radius of r. Since r is 1 in every point on this circle, we know that for any angle, sine is y, cosine is x, tangent is y over x, cosecant is 1 over y, secant is 1 over x, and cotangent is x over y. Now, using that knowledge, we can also find these values knowing that the sine of pi over 3 is the same thing as the sine of 60 degrees. So we'll look at the 60-degree column, sine value. It's in quadrant 1. That's root 3 over 2. 5 pi over 6 is the same thing as 150 degrees. That's got a 30-degree reference angle, so we'll look at cosine in the 30-degree reference angle. That's root 3 over 2, but it's in quadrant 2, so it's negative. This one, root 3 pi over 2, that doesn't have a reference angle. That's called a quadrantal angle. The quadrantals are different. We'll come back to that one later. 5 pi over 4 is the same thing as the cosecant of 225 degrees. that's got a 45 degree reference angle. We look